Circus of the Stars won't be seen tonight, so we can bring you a very special episode of The Gen X Files. Welcome to The Gen X Files. I'm Jim.
I'm Adam.
And today's show is all about
Columbo, the greatest detective
Yes.
ever.
Well, such a great detective that nobody gave a crap about the murder. They just wanted to watch him solve it.
It's true. That is very true. And we'll get into that. It ran for 35 years.
Yeah.
Which, granted, not continuously.
Well, yeah.
It went away and came back a couple times. But he played that character for 35 years.
Yes, he did.
Yeah. Peter Falk. Amazing man. All right. Take yourself back to 1971. On January 2nd, a ban on radio and television cigarette advertisements goes into effect in the United States.
But they still let you do cigars, because I remember them backwoods smokes. They had somehow had the loophole.
Oh, really?
They'd have these cowboy-looking dudes with their backwoods smokes.
But radio and television?
Television,
yeah,
definitely.
Television. Yeah. Okay. Because I remember growing up, I just remember the Marlboro Man and like print advertising. Like, was a big thing.
It's probably Tom Selleck when you were seeing him.
It's very possible. Or
no, not when you were seeing him. Maybe.
No. I mean, possibly. It was early 80s, so I mean, it could have been.
No. He was in the Sevs.
Oh,
It was before Magnum.
Before he was huge, yeah. January 25th, in Los Angeles, Charles Manson and 3 female quote-unquote family members are found guilty of the 1969 Tate LaBianca murders.
Yeah, I mean, all you people that watched Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, there's a different ending.
Yeah, that's not how it actually ended.
Exactly. Just like Inglourious Bastards didn't end with the revenge
Hitler being
killing
murdered.
of Hitler.
Yeah.
Read a book.
Later in the year, the jury said they should be sentenced to death. And then on April 19th, Charles Manson was actually sentenced to death. But in 1972, all death sentences were commuted. March 29th, U.S. Army Lieutenant William Calley is found guilty of 22 murders during the My Lai massacre and sentenced to life in prison. And then 3 days later, Nixon commutes his sentence to 3 years house arrest.
Look. Everybody just calm down. Just calm down for 1 second. Now, the guy's a pretty good guy.
Yeah.
He's okay. We don't need to put him in jail for life. He'll just spend some time at home and think about what he's done.
September 15th, Columbo premieres on the NBC Mystery Movie.
Yeah.
Which is famous. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But let's start with the character of Columbo and how he was created. He was created by
not Colombian.
No, he is not Colombian.
Just for...
And it's spelled differently.
Than Colombia?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's spelled Columbo.
Columbo.
But Columbos are from Colombia.
Yeah, yes. The writing team of Richard Levinson and William Link created the character. He first appeared in a 1960 episode of the television anthology series The Chevy Mystery Show, titled Enough Rope. It was based off a short story that they had written which first appeared in Alfred Hitchcock's Mystery magazine.
Any relation to the movie Rope?
No. In fact, this short story, which was in the Alfred Hitchcock, and then the episode was eventually turned into a stage play, which was then turned into Prescription Murder.
Oh, okay.
So it literally was the same story the entire time.
So convoluted.
I know.
Way to burn something into the group.
Yeah,
Good job, fellas.
Yeah. They made it work. Columbo was named Fisher at the time, not Columbo, and played by Burt Freed, best known for a role in the TV show Shane.
Detective Fisher.
Yeah, Fisher.
Underwhelming.
Levinson and Link then adapted the TV episode into a stage play in 1962 called Prescription Murder. Columbo was played by Thomas Mitchell, who was in Gone with the Wind and It's a Wonderful Life. It also starred Joseph Cotton and Agnes Moorehead, the play.
Right.
During the play's national tour, unfortunately, Thomas Mitchell passed away.
Oh.
It was his last role. Yeah.
It was a murder-suicide.
I think he was just old. He was like in his 70s. And this is what they imagined originally for Columbo.
Yeah.
Was literally a detective like in his 70s.
Okay.
Which seems odd.
At the time, everybody was old, man. It wasn't about youth culture. And
that's true.
You know, if you look at all the movies, everybody was like 60 or 70.
That's true. That is true.
You know, they all had gray hair and yellow teeth.
It was the beauty of the Love Boat.
Exactly.
All the old people boinking. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
No, I'm just saying I'm an old person.
You're getting there.
Now,
You're getting there. Yeah. In 1968, they adapted the stage play into a 2-hour movie called Prescription Murder. The writers wanted Lee J. Cobb or Bing Crosby to play Columbo.
Hey, I would have loved to play Columbo.
Except that he didn't want to play Columbo.
But I like to golf.
Because it would have ruined his golf game.
Tee off time.
More of these
Beat my
guys
kids.
in golf ruining their lives. Not ruining their lives, but running their lives.
Well, yeah, Joe Pesci and him, and they all should just play golf together. You know, I played golf behind the Uncle Charlie from My Three Sons.
Oh, yeah?
I forget his name.
I don't know his name.
Great actor. He was really, one of those gruff guys. Come on, kids, get up. He was like 130 years old.
Yeah.
And the reason I met him because he was like, why don't you play through? It takes me.
Yeah.
He was just really funny. He's like, it takes me forever to get through. Just
go ahead.
But yeah, Uncle Charlie.
So Cobb was most famous for playing Willie Loman. He started the Willie Loman character, or originated it in the Broadway premiere of Death of a Salesman, directed by Elia Kazan. Unfortunately, he was unavailable to play the part.
Elia?
Is it Elia?
Elia Kazan.
I said it wrong. Sorry. And then, of course, Bing Crosby he wanted to play golf.
I just want to play. Boop, 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 boop.
Director Richard Irving convinced Levinson and Link that Falk, who excitedly said...
Levinson and Link. Sounds like a really bad detective team. Levinson and Link.
Falk said that he would kill to play that cop. He could pull it off even though he was much younger than the writers had in mind. And he convinced them to play the part.
Yeah, because Peter Falk is one of our greatest American actors.
Oh, he's fantastic.
Oh, my God.
Absolutely
so good.
Yeah. Originally a one-off TV movie of the week, Prescription Murder has Falk's Columbo pitted against a psychiatrist played by Gene Barry.
Yeah, Gene Barry is just banging everybody.
Oh, my God.
He's just like the first 5 minutes of that is him jumping from bed to bed. Hey, I got to go to the office. Apartment number 3. What's up, Trixie? Why do you smell so funny? Don't worry about it.
Gross. In this movie, the psychiatrist gives the new audience a perfect description of Columbo's character. He said,
You're an intelligent man, Columbo, but you hide it. You pretend you're something you're not. Why? Because of your appearance. You think you cannot get by on looks or polish, so you turn a defect into a virtue. You take people by surprise. They underestimate you, and that's where you trip them up. By coming here tonight. Columbo!
Due to the success of the film, NBC requested that a pilot for a potential series be made to see if the character could be sustained on a regular basis, leading to the 1971 90-minute television production Ransom for a Dead Man.
Ransom for a Dead Man.
With Lee Grant playing the killer.
Nice.
Which it technically was another pilot. It was just another one-off movie to see. But it was like 3 years later.
Yeah.
And they apparently sat on it for the whole time.
You remember that Columbo thing?
Yeah.
Should we give it another shot?
Oh, yeah, hey.
They just got drunk. They drank a lot during lunch, and they would forget which shows they had. And they'd be like, oh, there's something about a
that's right.
detective. Never mind. Let's just put on more Macmillan and Wife.
The popularity of the second film prompted the creation of a regular series on NBC that premiered in September 1971 as part of the NBC mystery movie Wheel Series rotation.
Oh, yeah, man, I remember that.
Which also included McCloud, Macmillan and Wife, and some others.
That's the Columbo theme.
Oh, okay. I was like, what?
Him on a horse with his lambskin jacket. With the thing and the cowboy
Columbo
hat.
theme?
No, McCloud, baby.
Columbo. I
Did
know
I?
you said Columbo.
Oh, crap. That was the McCloud theme.
That was the McCloud theme. Okay. I've never seen McCloud and Macmillan and Wife, but they were very popular as well.
Oh, yeah. McCloud was just a cowboy.
Cowboy, yeah.
He was just basically Columbo in a cowboy hat, and Macmillan and Wife were like a Columbo team of, husband and wife who solved crimes.
So essentially,
But they were really fun. They were
Yeah.
fun shows, especially Macmillan and Wife.
Yeah. So essentially, a wheel series is a television. For those that don't know, because it's not very popular now, a wheel series is a television series in which 2 or more regular programs are rotated in the same time slot. In this case, they had 4. They would do 4. Columbo would be once a month, Macmillan and Wife, McCloud, and then the 4th one they would alternate because nothing else ever caught on.
Right. Well, then also, it put a lot less pressure on these shows, and the budgets were a lot
Yes.
less because they only had to do 7 or 8 episodes per season.
And a lot of that had to do with at least with Columbo. A lot of that had to do with Peter Falk because they wanted it to be a weekly series, but he was like, I'm still doing movies and stuff. I need the time, so it allowed them to spend more time writing and producing and making each episode as good as possible.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, his real love was independent film and working with his
yeah.
buddy John Cassavetes.
Yeah. No previous or subsequent wheel show achieved the longevity or success of the NBC mystery movie.
Yeah, because everybody loves a mystery.
It was great because you essentially got a new movie every week.
Yeah,
and
I remember.
It was fantastic.
There would be a disappointment because I didn't love McCloud.
Yeah.
So when it was the McLeod week, I'd be like, oh.
Oh yeah. I'm
All
sure.
right.
I'm sure.
But
Or-
then Columbo. But also, I didn't appreciate Columbo as much as a kid because it was so wordy.
Yeah.
You know, I wanted some action. I wanted some Chips
Really.
style
Yeah.
jumps and chases and crashes and
It's definitely not. It is definitely
not a bit of action in that
there's-
show.
In fact, there's really not any tension at all.
No, I was watching an episode, and you know, the guy gets in the car, drives around the corner, he presses the button, and we hear an explosion. We never see it.
No,
we never
no.
see the fire or
You can't
anything.
afford that.
Well, they afforded a plane crash. I'm just saying, it's
Well,
like
later,
The
yeah.
thing was, the action wasn't necessary.
Yes, yes.
It wasn't necessary to show the car blow up to get to
It's-
what you needed. It wasn't about that.
100%. It is very much in the style of a stage play because you can't show a car blown up on stage, so you would have all the action happening off stage. And that definitely bled through the entire series. So Columbo, for those of you who've not seen it, is not a typical whodunit. It uses the inverted detective story referred to as a how catch 'em. Yeah, I know. The killer in the
I'm going to
first
reserve comment.
the killer is shown committing the crime in the first act, so the audience knows exactly what happened. They know exactly who the killer is. They know exactly how he did it. And Columbo would come in after the first commercial break and try to catch the killer in a lie. Columbo would just know this was the killer.
Well, he was tenacious, man. He was also
Yes.
pretty sloppy when it came to crime scenes, but he was
Yes.
tenacious. It's a testament to Peter Falk's acting.
Oh, yeah.
That you could have this type of show. Because
Yes,
once
yes.
you know, the whole thing about a crime show is figuring out who the criminal is, to feel like you're smart.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
it's all the
yeah.
surrogate thing to be like, well, I figured it out before the last act, so I'm smarter than the detective. But this is like watching a dude solve the crime that we already know
Right.
has happened. That we already know has happened.
It's literally just watching him work.
Yeah. And his work is gabby.
Yeah, oh yeah.
He's being a nudge.
He would insert himself into the killer's lives as much as possible.
Excuse me, sir. I hate to bother you, but Mr. Columbo, I'm taking a poop. Here, you know, there's just one more thing. I know, I'm just sitting in the stall next to you. Do you need some paper, sir? I got some paper here, a little extra.
Mister, could we just wait until I've finished this?
Wait, it'll just take a second, sir. Just 1 second.
You know, just catching them
Yeah,
off guard,
yeah.
you know?
Oh, totally, 100%, because he was trying to catch him in lies. Sometimes in the episodes, and it happened a lot in the middle, like 4 or 5 seasons, where it would be so legally dubious. Like,
Sure.
a jury would be like, "That's entrapment."
He's just sitting in his office.
Like it's but you know, it's the show, and you're right. The test is a testament to Peter Falk's acting that people watched this for so long.
Yeah.
Because it was just watching him work.
Yes. And the greatest thing is by the end, the criminal is so just exhausted
Yeah.
from having to deal with, sure, can I just, and that they're just like, oh. Like I just watched one with William Shatner
Oh,
playing the greatest detective. And he, you know, he's the one that did the killing. And then, you know, Peter Falk is just relentless with him. But just like, sure, you're just the greatest detective. I need your help. And then, you know, by the end, he's like, he figures out, you know, and this is what you did. And then he's like, oh, I made a mistake. Well, I can't believe you figured it out. Let's go. You know, they're all just kind of like, huh? Well,
Almost all of them. There's only a few exceptions, but almost all of them were just kind of like, okay.
yeah.
And
There's a great one with Johnny Cash.
oh yeah.
And
yeah.
at the end, you know, and this one's also crazy too. Because at the end, there's this whole thing about him parachuting and flying a plane, Johnny Cash, flying this plane with his horrible wife and this woman, and he crashes the plane, killing them, and parachutes out and hides the parachute and blah, blah, bloop.
Right.
And at the end, he has to go get the parachute out, and he thinks he's, you know, of course, he thinks he's outsmarted Columbo. And then he's coming back, and then Columbo switches on his own Johnny Cash's lights from Johnny Cash's car. And he's the only guy there. And he's
Right.
like, yeah, I see you got the parachute. And then he's like, you gonna get a? He gets in Johnny Cash's car
Yeah.
and drives Johnny Cash back to jail.
Right,
He had
right.
sent the cop that had brought him up there. He had sent him to. I sent him to get some dinner, and I told him to drive back. And it's like, what? And you just went. And even Johnny Cash is like, oh, it's like aren't you afraid that I might kill you being up here with a killer? And he's like,
I'm not really sure. I think there's good in everybody. You know,
Yeah.
just-
yeah.
what he said was, Someone who can sing as pretty as you, sir. He can't be all bad.
And well, thank you very much.
It's just like
The Johnny Cash character was one of the few characters that you actually sympathized with because he did. Granted, yes, he murdered someone.
Yeah.
But he was such a likable character.
Oh yeah, and
like,
plus his wife was so unlikable.
yes, very much. The pacing in the show could appear to be very odd because most of the story is told through denouement, which is usually reserved for the last act of a show. It is the show. It is just amazing to me that the show was as popular as it was.
It plods along
Because
at its
the
own
first
pace.
2 acts were literally 15 minutes long, and then the third act, which normally is 15 minutes long, ended up being 60. And it's like, okay,
Yeah.
like I guess, I mean,
Well, like you said, it's a stage play, but what's the most interesting thing, and what I think would have been so much fun about being a guest star on this, is you just get to hang out with Peter Falk.
yes.
It's just a cool guest star, like Dick Van Dyke, going against type with his gray, stage 2 Santa Claus beard, being the bad guy murderer, and you don't want to see. That was what was brilliant. Is you don't want to see lovable, wonderful Dick Van Dyke being a killer.
Exactly.
And then he's just, and he's and Falk is just, I just one more thing. Sure. And it's just he shows up everywhere. Like what I love about him too is like the Johnny Cash one. He shows up. Johnny Cash is having this big old party, right after his wife died. He's like, and he's standing there with the brother of the woman who was murdered. And there's this table of food, like a chafing dish. And the guy sees Columbo eyeing the food, and he's like, "Well, do you want some?" He's like, "No, sure, no." Well, what is this? And he opens it up, and it's like, it's chili. He's like, "Oh, this looks great. Yeah. Well, you don't mind, sir? You don't mind if I take? It's okay. It'll be okay if I take a little." And he's like, "Yes, just take some chili." And he just takes it. "Oh, this is delicious chili. I gotta get the recipe for my wife, sir." It's just, he'll eat or drink. He'll start. He'll be like, "Can I get you a drink, Columbo?" "Oh, no, I'm on duty. Well, just a drop of wine.
Yeah.
Just a touch of, just a little bourbon."
Well, I think he mostly just ate boiled eggs.
All right, or whatever, or d'oeuvre, or something that somebody offered him.
That is why he had to eat all the other food.
This is why, and I'll save this for later.
Yeah,
but this is part of my treatise that we're going to get to towards the end of the show.
Yeah.
Ooh, get excited, people.
Yeah. All right, let's take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll talk about its popularity.
Hey there, Colonel Wilma Deering from Buck Rogers in the 25th century here. Hey, whenever I travel back to the future, I always come back and listen to the Gen X-Files with Jim and Adam, now on Spotify, because it's the best thing in all the history. Hey!
New episodes every Friday. All celebrity voices are poorly impersonated. Popularity.
The original plan was that a new Columbo episode would air every week. Falk refused to commit because he had such a busy schedule, giving all his work in motion pictures. The network arranged for the Columbo segments to air once a month on Wednesday nights.
And this is also accidentally brilliant because only getting it once a month, that ups the demand of people, the excitement of people wanting to see the show.
Yeah.
Like I said, well, I wasn't really a Columbo guy, but, my parents would be like, "Oh, Columbo's coming on."
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I'm pretty sure my parents watched Columbo. But the high quality of Columbo, McMillan, and Wife McLeod was due in large part to the extra time spent on each episode. Columbo was an immediate hit in the Nielsen ratings, and Falk won an Emmy Award for his role in the show's first season.
Yeah, because it was unlike... This is the thing that is so baffling to me about Hollywood, is that people are just craving something different.
Yeah.
Good and different.
Quality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're just like, "Oh, I can't believe Columbo was a hit." It's like, really? You can't believe, you've been spewing out the same detective shows over and over again, Kojak and this and that, and not bad shows at all.
Sure.
But, people aren't dumb.
Yeah.
And they want something that's like, "Oh, okay, well, this is new, and this is good acting, and this is good storytelling, and these are great actors." And it's a test. The writing is really important, too, on this, because you have to be able to sustain an audience's interest when they know exactly what the end result's going to be. They always know who the killer is, and they always know Columbo's going to solve the crime.
Right.
There's no way he's not going to solve that crime. So we know the bookends.
Yeah.
So they just got to jam enough really cool stuff in the middle of that to keep people
Keep it
coming
interesting.
back.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. In its second year, the mystery movie series moved to Sunday nights, not Saturdays, like I thought, where it remained during its 7-season run.
Sunday was a big night for TV.
Oh, yeah.
Because that was
Yeah.
you started at 7 with The Wonderful World of Disney. And then it would
Yeah.
either show like
Oh, yeah,
half a
yeah.
movie or it would show some, cartoon thing or whatever. So you'd start with that. And then it was either like the Sunday night $1 million movie.
Yeah,
Or, the Sunday night mystery movies. And I think the mystery movie came on at 9. I think it was. I don't know if it was an 8 o'clock or
Probably.
maybe. I just think it was like a little.
No,
bit,
I think so. I mean, because it would make sense because it's a
Yeah.
little more adult and
Yeah.
and that would make sense.
but it was like Sunday night was family movie night.
yeah, exactly. The show became the anchor of NBC's Sunday night lineup. It aired regularly from 1971 to 1978, and then NBC canceled it. But it was revived on ABC 11 years later, between 1989 and 2003, with several new seasons and a few made-for-TV movie specials.
Yeah. It's nostalgic. It's trying to cram a 1970s character into a 1990s 2000.
Yeah,
It's just jarring to see him with like email, or he's talking to a guy and the beeper goes off.
right.
Excuse me. What's that? A device you got there? It's making noise on your hip.
It's just very odd. I mean, it makes sense because
Plus, he's like,
around that time, CBS was starting to cater to the 65-plus crowd, so
True.
it makes sense.
And, honestly, he was at the age of what the character was imagined to be.
Supposed to be, yeah.
But I'll tell you, it was so much more. Because, I mean, look, Peter Falk was a middle-aged guy when he was in his 30s. Like, he was a rumpled, crumpled, he looked like somebody just pulled him out of the washer. Didn't, tumble dry him or anything. Just kind of like rang him out a little bit and threw him in his crappy little car. And there he goes. But he had the gravitas of a man much older than him. Because how old was he when he started the show? Do you know?
No, I would have to look it up.
Probably in his 30s, I would say.
He had to have been in his 30s, yeah.
So,
maybe late 30s, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he still looks like a young man. But he's got the gravitas of an older man.
Oh, 100%.
And the way he carried himself was just so interesting. Like the thing that made it so good, I dare you to find a more watchable actor than Peter Falk. His mannerisms, just the way he flits around the room. He comes into a room and he's looking around and the guy, it's so great because what he does is so perfect for the other actor because it's so annoying.
Yeah.
And it's like and it's just like I know you're going to get to the part where he like does ad-libs and stuff to throw them off, but it's his performance is so brilliant. And if you want to really see him be meaty, watch Cassavetes films. Watch Woman on the Verge of a Nervous when he plays Jenna Rollins' husband in that, and just what he goes through. It's 180 degrees from Columbo. But it's just like you want to see a guy dealing with a woman losing her mind and making him lose his mind. I mean, it's not a comfortable movie to watch at all. Right. It is cinema verite. Like that's all that Cassavetes used to do. His movies are brilliant, king of independent cinema. But that's where he really shone, and that's what he wanted to do. Right, both he and Cassavetes had this career in Hollywood, so they could make the kind of movies they wanted to make.
Right, exactly. It was really Columbo. It was really Peter Falk's character. Like, yes, it was written by other people, but all the wardrobe was provided by Peter Falk. They were his clothes, his high top shoes, his shabby raincoat,
his puce suit.
Or
is that periwinkle? Is it puce or periwinkle?
I'm going to say periwinkle.
Okay.
That sounds more accurate. He often ad-libbed, as Jim was saying, his character's idiosyncrasies, such as like fumbling through his pockets for a piece of evidence and discovering a grocery list, asking to borrow a pencil, never having a pencil, never having a pencil.
That's the best, too. He's like, I got I got it right here. Wait, shoot, did I forget it? I'm losing my mind. Yeah, wait. Oh, no, here, it's right here in this pocket.
He's got like 40 pockets.
Yeah, and that's the thing of the jacket. Yeah. What's so funny, that jacket is so iconic. There's an episode directed by Patrick McGoogan, I believe, with Leslie Nielsen. Yeah. And about the CIA and stuff.
Yeah.
And there's one point in that show where Columbo shows up at McGoogan's house to talk to him. And McGoogan is he's another delicious actor that just
pronounces words strangely. And he comes in and he's like, can I take your coat? And Columbo's like, and he's like, and he takes the coat, and he looks so naked and uncomfortable. It's such a great performance because he looks so small, and insignificant, and it's taking his armor, and he plays it that way that it's like it's so good. The nuance in his performance is just brilliant, and it's like, and it's also. I think McGugan's character, and he was the director of that episode, and I'm sure this is what he was going for, he was going for taking his armor, did it on purpose. His character did it on purpose to disarm him.
Of course.
And take away a lot of his, because there's 8 pockets he can't go into.
He suddenly is losing
So it's
pockets.
it takes away his edge, but it doesn't, because it's his power's in the coat. His power's in that noggin.
Falk would insert these into his performance as a way to keep his fellow actors off balance. He felt it helped to make their confused and impatient reactions to Columbo's antics more genuine. He kept a boiled egg in his pocket all the time.
What?
Boiled egg. Yeah.
Why?
He would eat it later on. It didn't happen until season 6 and
Oh.
but he would have a hard-boiled egg, and he would randomly start cracking an egg while they were talking and
That's
eating
awesome.
this egg. It was so disarming and unnerving. He drove an old broken down Peugeot 403.
Only 3 in the world. Only 3 of these in the United States.
It was great. It's such a crappy car. They tried to get him a new car, and he was like, no, absolutely not.
They still even used the one in the 2000s episode.
Yeah.
I was trying to watch the
last
episode, and he still had that little Peugeot.
He had a dog named Dog.
Yeah.
Which was a basset hound that almost didn't make it into the show until Peter Falk met the dog. At first he was like, it's going to be too much. And he met the dog and he felt he was too perfect not to include.
Well, he mentions the dog in the McGugan episode.
Yeah.
Did he have the dog before?
Yes.
Because
there was a number of times. Yeah.
He sits down. It's so creepy, too, by the way. He's at this, amusement park, Columbo is. Mm-hmm. And he gets some ice cream, and he sits down next to this, 5-year-old girl. And he's like, hey, you like dogs? And he's like, yes. He's like, I got a dog. What's your dog's name? Can you believe it? My dog's name is Dog. And then he's like, he likes to swim. He's swimming right now. And then it's just like, what are you talking about? And why are you talking to this kid? And the mom is there with the other kid, just like, and then strange middle-aged man.
Yeah. He never had kids. Maybe he wanted kids.
Do you want to meet my dog?
Yeah, the dog usually was just in the car. He would show up somewhere and he would get out of the car and go, all right, dog, stay here. Don't follow me and take care of the car. And then he'd leave. The dog, this big old basset hound, just be sitting there Murr.
That's awesome.
Yeah. He talked about his wife all the time, but she was never seen on any episode.
Yes, she was bridge partners with Vera from Cheers and Norm's wife. I don't believe Norm's wife existed either.
She was in the show.
Oh, Norm's wife was? Oh, yeah.
In the food fight episode.
Yeah, they ended up
and you
squilling
didn't see her face. She was covered in whipped cream.
Okay.
Yeah.
But, okay, I forgot about that. Scratch that. But I do believe that Columbo is making up his wife, because no wife would let him dress that way, first of all, and not in that time, and the same rumpled suit, the same rumpled coat every day, just pulling crap out of his, driving that car, wouldn't let him drive that crappy car around, and he's always everywhere. If he had a wife, he'd have to be home at some time, but it's 3 o'clock in the morning, and he's like, just one more thing. I just thought I'd stop by and talk to you about this stub that I found from your dry cleaners. And it's there's no way. And you never meet his wife. I think it's just part of his disarming act. And I think Columbo, I think he's kind of like Kaiser Soze at the end of Unusual Suspects. At the end of the day, he kind of straightens up and takes his coat off and straightens his tie and pours his brandy, and he's like, well, I've done another day of detecting. What do you think, dog?
Well, I think counterpoint, he just found someone that is willing to accept him for who he is.
Good luck with that. That's the most fantastical thing that I've heard about the whole show.
According to Levinson, the catchphrase "one more thing" was conceived when he and Link were writing the play. He said,
We had a scene that was too short, and we had already had Columbo make his exit. We were too lazy to retype the scene, so we had him come back and say, "Oh, just one more thing. It was never planned."
Peter Falk, his parents were both Jewish, hailing from Poland and Russia on his father's side and Hungary on his mother's side. He's one of the most famous celebrities in Hungary with a statue of him and his dog in Budapest.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's really great. Falk's right eye was surgically removed when he was 3 because of retinoblastoma. He wore an artificial eye for most of his life.
Yeah.
The artificial eye was the cause for his trademark squint. And the thing is I got to be honest, I literally had no idea it was a fake eye.
Well, then
I
you
had
didn't
no
really
idea.
look him in the eye. Would you just think he had a lazy eye?
Every
'Cause
time, no, yeah, but it was never.
It's
they never-
always. I mean, if you look at
I-
like
sometimes, yeah.
all of the impersonations of him, always
Right,
the eyes.
right.
You know, it's like
But they usually did a pretty good job of showing him in a way that I don't know. I mean, maybe I just wasn't paying close attention.
it was
but-
also. We all know who the glass eyes were back then. We knew it was Sammy Davis.
Yeah,
We knew it was
well,
Peter
yeah.
Falk. We knew it was Sandy Duncan, part of the Glass
Oh,
Eye
that's
Club.
right. That's right. Yeah.
You know, those are the three that we knew about. We don't know how many people lost eyes.
Oh, that's
There are
true.
a lot of you don't have a lot of one-eyed celebrities anymore.
No, it's not. I mean, maybe retinoblastoma is not a big problem anymore.
I don't know. Maybe.
Despite this limitation, as a boy, Peter Falk participated in team sports, mainly baseball and basketball. Falk said,
I remember once in high school, the umpire called me out at third base when I was sure I was safe. So I got mad and I took out my glass eye, handed it over to him and said, "Try this." It got such a laugh you wouldn't believe.
he's a joker.
That's so gross.
Falk started acting at age 12. He had a strong stage career at a young age. Despite his stage success, a theatrical agent advised Falk not to expect much film acting work because of his artificial eye.
And he's like, well, what about Sammy Davis?
Well, this might have been a little bit before that. Oh, no.
No.
When was Sammy Davis? He was in the late 50s, 60s?
No, Sammy came around in the 50s, yeah. They came up around the same time.
It's still... Okay. Falk was... not-
Sammy had a lot of things against him for the time.
Oh, well, yeah.
A one-eyed black Jewish man.
Yes.
It's like, whew, that sounds like the start of a really bad
Beginning of a
joke.
Yeah. Falk was twice nominated for the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor for Murder, Inc. in 1960 and Pocketful of Miracles in 1961.
Such good movies. So good in those movies. And such a great young actor. He was one of those dynamic, like when you saw a young Marlon Brando or, just one of those explosive, dynamic actors that's like so watchable. Like,
Right.
There's no way to take your eyes off them. They just have some sort of magnetism.
He won his first Emmy Award in 1962 for the Dick Powell Theater. He was the first actor to be nominated for an Academy Award and an Emmy Award in the same year, achieving the feat twice in 1961 and 1962.
Oh, yeah.
That's just how good he is. He went on to appear in such films as It's a Mad, 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 Mad World in 1963.
I think there's like 2 or 3 more Mads in there.
I literally
I'm just
copied
kidding.
and pasted this. It could be 40 more. I have
There's
no
like
idea.
40 Mads.
I just watched this not too long ago.
I love that
and I
movie.
will tell you, the best parts is when Peter Falk shows up and it
Oh,
was
yeah.
like more screen time for him.
Oh, I love that movie.
It's such a good movie.
I have to say, though, I've tried to turn people. You cannot turn somebody onto that movie who didn't grow up loving that movie because it is so long. I gave it to.
I am an exception to that rule then.
Okay, good. Well, that just the exception proves the
Proves
rule.
the rule, yes,
But I
yes.
have tried with my funny friends
Yeah.
to be like, "Oh, you gotta watch this movie because everybody's in that movie.
Yes.
Everybody.
Yes.
And I just like they're like, oh man, I tried.
It's,
But it's 18 hours long.
It is
It's like, but it's
really
not.
long.
And I remember when that would come on network TV, they would have to do it usually in 2 nights
oh, yeah.
because,
It was-
or they
otherwise it'd
started
be-
it at like 7
Yeah.
and it would run till 11.
11,
or
yeah.
it's like this very special movie presentation.
4 or 5 hours. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And it was just like, pop your popcorn and pock your butts.
He did The Great Race in 1965, Anzio in 1968, Murder by Death in 1976.
Oh, my God, man. Have you seen Murder by Death?
No.
You're a Clue fan.
Yes.
You have got to see Murder by
Okay.
Death. It is the prototypical Clue. It is the same thing, but it has Truman Capote in it.
Oh, really?
Truman Capote, and he's just like, he's the guy, and he's like, you've got Truman Capote, you've got Peter Sellers playing a pretty offensive, so he's basically playing Charlie Chan.
Okay.
And they they did cast an Asian kid as his son. 'Cause, ooh,
Oh, that's good. They're saving their butts there.
but Peter Falk's in it. He's hilarious. It's like he plays this kind of like impotent detective.
Nice.
And we're gonna watch it and do a show on it.
All right, all right.
And Alec Guinness is in it as this blind. Oh my God, Alec Guinness plays a blind butler, and Ruth Gordon plays a deaf maid, and the two of them trying to coordinate. With him being like, well, you have to do this. And she can't hear him, so she's doing this. It is some of the best physical comedy. Murder by Death is one of the greatest mystery comedies, if not the greatest mystery comedy ever.
All right. We'll definitely do an episode on it. Yeah. He was in a series of other things throughout the 80s and 90s, all the way up until just before he died. He
was the
acted
grandpa
in
in
many-
Princess Bride. That's
He
where
was.
probably most people know him is from
I
that.
always forget that that's him. Like, this is how much of that character. Like, he was that character.
This is too scary for you.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
yeah.
have to. No, we're gonna have to stop.
But that was the first thing I ever saw him in.
Yeah.
For me personally.
Most people.
Yeah.
Most people it
Princess
was.
Bride. Falk was also known for his collaborations with filmmaker, actor, and personal friend John Cassavetes in films such as Husbands in 1970, A Woman Under the Influence in 1974, Opening Night 1977, Elaine May's Mikey and Nikki in 1976, and the Columbo episode Etude in Black
Yeah.
in 1972. It was the
Jenna
premiere
Rowland- yeah.
of the second episode or second season.
And also, Jenna Rollins was on Columbo as well, who was Cassavetes' wife.
Yeah.
And she was the woman who was under the influence. Oh my God. You want to talk about one of the greatest actresses ever.
Gina Rollins.
So underrated. You look at her Cassavetes' work, and good Lord, man. That woman is fierce and fearless.
Peter Falk won 4 Emmy Awards for his portrayal of Lieutenant Columbo in 1972, 1975, 1976, and in 1990. So he did actually get some recognition for the CBS years of Columbo.
That was just probably
I'm sure
He was still great. Look, I was
good.
watching
The show
it.
was good.
It's not
Yeah.
like he's not Columbo. He's just Columbo old.
Yeah, he's just old Columbo. All right, let's take
Columbo going to a rave.
We're going to take a quick break.
Hey, this is Bob Newman, and I just want to say, be charitable and listen to the Gen X Files with Jim and Adam. It's now on Spotify. And if you like spaghetti sauce, try this out to Rooney.
New episodes every Friday. All celebrity voices are poorly impersonated.
So the first season premiere, Murder by the Book, was written by Steven Bochco and directed by Steven Spielberg. Steven Bochco did
L.A.
eventually did
Law.
L.A.
He
yeah.
did Hill Street Blues.
Huge
He did-
career.
He was
Yeah.
the 80s and the 90s of dramas.
He was. And of course, we all know who Steven Spielberg is.
No, who's that?
Just this little Jewish guy. He's a director. But Falk said of Spielberg,
Let's face it, we had some good fortune at the beginning. Our debut episode in 1971 was directed by this young kid named Steven Spielberg. I told the producers, Lincoln Levinson, this guy is too good for Columbo. Steven was shooting me with the long lens from across the street. That wasn't common 20 years ago. The comfort level it gave me as an actor, besides the great look artistically. Well, I told you that this wasn't any ordinary director.
yeah, this is the beauty of Peter Falk, is that he can recognize talent and understands that, and Steven Spielberg, I'm pretty sure he was only like 23 or something when he shot.
But there were some great shots. There's
Yeah.
like the shot at the beginning that starts out the window and then pulls back to reveal the desk. And, there's a lot of movement. And, he uses a lot of, like he said, he uses lenses. And the kid knew what he was doing.
Jonathan Demme directed the 7th season episode Murder Under Glass, who eventually won an Oscar for Silence of the Lambs. Great director.
His son is also a well-known director, Ted Demme.
Oh, yeah. That's right. Actor Ben Gazzara, a friend of Falk's, directed the episodes A Friend Indeed and Troubled Waters.
Also a collaborator with Cassavetes
Yes.
with Chinese Bookie. Death of a Chinese Bookie, I think is.
I think that sounds right.
Not my favorite of the Cassavetes films.
Oh, yeah.
But a good one still, nonetheless. But his films are so hard to watch. Some of them are so hard to watch. It's just like you feel like a fly on the wall and you shouldn't be watching what you're watching.
Oh, yeah.
Whew.
Yeah. Falk himself directed the last episode of the first season, Blueprint for Murder, and he wrote the episode entitled It's All in the Game in season 10, which is technically just most of the CBS stuff, so sometime in between 1989 and 2003.
Yeah.
Actor Nicholas Colasanto, best known for playing Coach on Cheers, directed 2 episodes, Swan Song with Johnny Cash and Etude in Black, the one with John Cassavetes, although it was rumored that Falk and Cassavetes ghost-directed Etude in Black. But Colasanto was a great director.
Yeah.
He did a lot of great work.
Oh, yeah, great actor, too. He was also in Raging Bull. He was in,
Oh, yeah.
Going back all the way back.
Oh, yeah, he was great. Patrick McGoohan directed 5 episodes, including 3 of the 4 in which he played the murderer.
Here's another one who's... Hey, Columbo.
His episode when he was a CIA agent,
Oh, yeah.
he is the most annoyed, I think. My favorite is when he I think it might be the first time they meet. He's about to give a speech, or he's watching a speech that he had written for some Italian guy at the UN.
Yeah.
Speech that he wrote was super racist the way he did it. It was like, oh, I'm a goomba, and I'm honestly, that's, but,
yeah.
So he's watching the thing, this private affair, and blocks rumpled old bulldog, and he's like, "You're in the wrong place." Yeah, what's going on here? He says, "You're in the wrong place, sir." You guys having a party here? Or are you talking? What's going on? He said, "I'm telling you, sir, you're not in the right place. I'm Detective Columbo." It's just like he annoys them before he even tells people who he is. He lets them, like the one with William Shatner. William Shatner's this actor, playing the greatest detective ever. They're shooting the scene, and in the background, in the sets, is old Columbo just wandering around, and the guys are the prop guy's like, "You gotta get down, you're in the shot, Wow, what are you talking about? What's going on here? You guys shooting something?
The show featured many guest stars as murderers, with Robert Culp, Jack Cassidy, Patrick McGoohan, George Hamilton, and William Shatner are the only actors to play more than one murderer.
Oh, it'd be so much fun.
Other notable guest stars include, and this is a very long list,
Eddie Albert, Gene Barry, Ann Baxter, Johnny Cash, Ida Lupino, John Cassavetes, Pat Morita, Dabney Coleman, Billy Connell, Jackie Cooper, Jamie Lee Curtis, Faye Dunaway, Jose Ferrer, Ruth Gordon, Lee Grant, Lawrence Harvey. It's really close to Lawrence Harvey, who's Laser Tag Larry, my best friend growing up.
Oh, nice. Laser Tag Larry.
But it wasn't Lawrence
wasn't
Harvey.
him.
It was Lawrence Harvey and Louis Jordan, Martin Landau, Julie Newmar, Janet Leigh, Roddy McDowell, Vera Miles, Vincent Price, Martin Sheen, Ray Milland, Ricardo Montalban, Leonard Nimoy, Donald Pleasance, William Shatner, Rip Torn, Dick Van Dyke, Robert Vaughn, Leslie Nielsen, Jessica Walker, Kim Cattrall, Ned Begley Jr.
With general amazement, Falk notes,
The show is all over the world. I've been to little villages in Africa with maybe one TV shed, and the little kids run up to me shouting, "Columbo, Columbo!"
it was very much a worldwide success. Singer Johnny Cash recalled acting in one episode, and although he was not an experienced actor, he writes in his autobiography,
Peter Falk was good to me. I wasn't all that confident about handling a dramatic role, and every day he helped me in all kinds of little ways. Johnny Cash.
I will be honest and say that I thought he was fantastic.
He was
in that.
amazing.
He was great in it.
He was amazing, and he could not hide his amusement of watching Peter Falk.
Oh, yeah.
Because he's just, and so many actors have that look on their face. And the one time that I saw Peter Falk have that look on his face was when he was working with William Shatner.
Oh, yeah.
But his look was more like, I can't believe this ham and cheese coming out of this guy's mouth. Because it's just like, he was so perfectly cast, William Shatner, as a pompous TV detective, who's completely over the top. It was perfect casting.
So a few years before his death, Falk expressed interest in returning to the role. In 2007, he claimed he had chosen a script for one last Columbo episode titled Columbo, Hear No Evil. The script was renamed Columbo's Last Case, and unfortunately, it was declined by the networks.
F you, ABC. You couldn't have done him a solid. You effers. This guy, this is what I hate about the business, is there's no loyalty. There's no, come on, if there's not a buck to be made, and there would have been a buck to be made, maybe
It would have done something. It would have made them money.
yes,
It would have made them money.
100%. There's so many people would have loved to see one more case with him. F them.
In response, the producers of the series announced they were attempting to shop the project to foreign production companies. Unfortunately, Falk was diagnosed with dementia shortly after in late 2007. During a 2009 trial over his care, physician Stephen Reed stated that Falk's condition had deteriorated so badly that he could no longer remember playing a character named Columbo, nor could he even identify Columbo.
That's so sad.
That's very sad. He passed on June 23rd, 2011 at age 83.
It's a good run.
He had a great run. Absolutely great run.
Except for the end. He just got screwed at the end, and he
Yeah.
got taken advantage of, and his.
This is the thing. So there is something called the Peter Falk's law. It
I
was,
don't remember when all this was going around.
yeah, it's weird because I didn't know anything about this until I started researching. And so Peter Falk's law was passed in New York State to protect children from being cut off from news of serious medical and end-of-life developments regarding their parents or from contact with them.
Yeah.
In Falk's case, according to his daughter Catherine, his second wife, Sheer Denise, who was also his conservator and showed up on Columbo a lot. She played bit parts through like 10 episodes, I think.
So she wasn't like a young chippy.
No. I want to say she was probably younger than him, but not by much.
Yeah.
Allegedly, she stopped some of the family members from visiting him and did not notify them of any major changes in his condition and didn't even notify them that he died and then had a funeral without them there.
Unless, okay. I mean, there's really no excuse for that, but if they were really, like, estranged,
Yeah.
you know? And if this was, like, all about money or whatever, but I don't know. It's still
it
gross.
Seems very
It's
much
super
like she took
gross.
advantage of his dementia
Yeah.
and was like, well, no, you don't have kids. This is all mine. This is all me. And like,
That's just gross. And it's just so awful the way you want to see who somebody is in their core, see how they deal when there's a death.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Most people come together and want to help each other get through it, and there's just other people that will totally take advantage of the situation. It's gross. I've dealt with that.
Yeah,
it is
yeah.
gross.
It's very insensitive, and it just makes there's no good way to look at it. Like if you're going to cut off family members from someone, especially someone with dementia,
Yeah.
like that's it. You're just being an ass. Like
Well, yeah.
there's obviously a reason, and it's like I don't know Shira Denise,
No.
and she might have been a great person,
Sure.
but this makes her look like a horrible, terrible person.
Yeah, we don't know the story because we don't do the extensive research. that
I didn't do the research on this.
no.
because
What
I
I'm
didn't
saying
even know
is
it existed.
that's not really our job.
But that's not. Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
we mostly just make up stuff. But
I mean, she couldn't have been bad because they were married, and like he obviously was in love with her, and like
Sure.
you know, I mean, she did good for him for a long. I mean, they were
I
married.
don't know, man.
But they were married for like 30
Johnny
years.
Cash's wife on Columbo was pretty bad. Maybe he had a
That's
Cash
true.
wife.
That's true. I mean, it's possible. It's very possible.
And his last words were, just one more thing.
Oh,
There was not
it wasn't
another
his last
thing.
words because he didn't know he was
There was-
Columbo.
that's what was so crazy about it.
It's just that moment of clarity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And his,
Well,
and his
as
wife's
of-
like, there's no more things.
As of 2020, more than 15 states have enacted a similar law. There's no national law on it, unfortunately, but it's just a sad way to end an amazing career and
Sure.
an amazing life.
Sure. But there's so many more other things named for him and awards
Yes.
named for him, and
Yes.
scholarships and it's a good thing. It's a good thing to
very
have that
positive
law-
has come out of it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I mean people are going to be protected against being screwed out of their Family's lives.
or even just being able to go say goodbye.
That's what I mean.
Yeah,
It's just,
yeah.
not out of money, but it's out of their lives.
It's like just being able to, because you never know. I mean, on your deathbed changes a lot of people, changes how you perceive people. Like not that we're gonna go deep into talking about this. But
no,
like,
let's. Because
but
it always goes good when we get deep.
It's just it's a testament to Peter Falk.
Sure.
That I literally had no idea this happened.
Yeah.
I knew him from Columbo. I knew him from the good things he did
Yeah.
and the good things he had given to the world. So,
Yeah.
I didn't even know he was married to this person and that she did this to his kids. And I mean, it's at the end of the day, it was a footnote, a very terrible footnote, but a footnote in a very good life.
I think Ralph on Kevin and Bean reported on this a lot when it was
really?
happening.
Yeah.
I would listen to that show. And so I was pretty well
Well
versed, or pretty well informed, I would say,
Informed,
about
yeah,
the situation. And still yet, I can't remember, what the actual issue was. Guy had a good life,
Great life.
a great career.
Oh, God, amazing.
And
career.
we're better for him being around. I'm loving watching Columbo again.
Yeah.
As a kid, watching Columbo, a little boring. A lot of talky talks, not
Yeah,
a lot of
yeah.
explosions and stuff, You get occasionally, and then it was confusing too, because then I'd see, Dick Van Dyke from Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, murdering.
Why is he murdering that person?
Hey, just shut up. Just watch it. And
Was it your stepdad?
Yeah.
He murders people. That's what he does.
What's Dick Van Dyke doing? He's the chimney sweep from Mary Poppins. Hey, he's cutting her neck off. Wait, he's just a murderer now. But yeah, but watching it now, seeing all these great actors come and just have fun playing with him, because I think the reason why so many of these guys did it, they didn't have to do it, is because it must have been just so much fun playing with him. It's like doing a play rather than a TV show. Like you said, it was like instead of going on the Love Boat, doing a bunch of dumb sex jokes, hanging out with a squirrel or whatever a gopher. Sorry. Whatever. But with Columbo, you were going to spar. You're going to have a really cool sparring match, a verbal sparring match, and you were going to get to act, and you were going to get to act opposite a master. So...
Well, and the fact is that most of the villains they didn't play villains. Most of the actors didn't play villains. No. Like it was a way to do out of type characters, and like, I'm going to do this and it's going to be great. I mean, that Martin Landau, the Martin Landau episode, he played twins.
Oh.
And it was so good.
Yeah, I mean, and plus because they get to sink their teeth into it.
Yeah.
And also the characters are well rounded. These aren't just evil murderers.
No.
There's something there. Like the William Shatner one, he was getting blackmailed by this woman.
Right.
And so, he decided to murder her because he was he went to Canada to escape the Korean War. I guess they fled to Canada back then too. But yeah, I mean, and like I said, by the end they're just kind of like, huh? You got me.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
You gonna drive me, or this guy gonna drive me?
Yeah, it's like, all right, I'm not gonna fight.
It's the least dramatic conclusion of any show, because it's always
all the time.
Well, you got me, Columbo. Okay.
All right, this is it.
You want to have another drink before take me to jail, or yeah, maybe just a drop of wine, just a drop before we take you.
I'm on duty, so I can't.
I think I've earned this. I've earned myself a beer. Yeah, sure.
It's really fantastic. I agree. I've never seen it before I started watching it for the show, and it's all on Peacock. You have a chance to catch it all on Peacock. It's for free.
Sure.
I mean, there's some commercials, but or
you can spend a few bucks and get it without commercials. But it is definitely, if you're a fan of police procedurals, but a fan of different kinds of police procedurals, and if you're a fan of acting, if you're a fan of really good adult acting and the 70s, then this is the show for you, baby. It's just so much fun. It's just a delicious little meal of folk, sprinkled in with, some of your favorite actors growing up being bad boys and bad girls.
Yeah.
But it is just, I hadn't seen the show for so long, and I just recently started watching it again, and I'm hooked.
Yeah,
I'm hooked.
It's so fantastic. I'm almost through the NBC stuff. It's some of the episodes, it gets a little. It's not a binging show. Don't binge it. You watch too many episodes in a row, and then they all start to seem the same.
And it's like they're movies. Maybe do a double feature. You know, maybe pick two. And also you don't have to watch the seasons in order. I've been kind of jumping around, seeing, because I wanted to watch some with some of the actors that I really like.
Right.
Like Dyke and Shatner. But you don't have to, so pick whichever ones you want and have a little double feature, and then go watch some, Cobra Kai or whatever's going on today, and then come back to it. It's a treat, you know?
Yeah.
You don't want to burn yourself out on it.
No. I did that early, and I lost. I realized I wasn't paying attention to some episodes, and it's like, no, this deserves more attention.
There's too much, because it is an easy one to also start straying and picking up your phone and checking your crap, but then you're just going to miss all of the nuance.
Yes, exactly.
Well, how'd he get there?
Yeah,
how did he figure this out?
Like, I don't know how many times I had to rewind and be like, wait, what did he say? What did he say?
I will have to say, he's pretty sloppy with the crime scenes.
Yes. Yes,
he doesn't wear any gloves. I think he's probably got a latex allergy. Even in the ones in 2000.
Yeah.
He's not wearing gloves. He's just licking his hands and picking crap up. There is like, he just comes in and starts nosing around with the Johnny Cash plane crash one. You know, the FAA's looking at. He just comes walking in during the interview and just starts grabbing.
Who are you?
Yeah. Hey, don't worry about who I am. Just go on with the interview. And then he's just grabbing the seat belts and touching everything, and grabbing everything and touching it all. And they're just like, "What are you doing?" And he's Columbo. And
He always, when there was other jurisdictions involved, it always took like 5 minutes for him to say, "Oh yeah, I'm a cop, by the way."
yes, exactly. And then they're just like, "Oh, okay, I guess."
Yeah.
But that's it. It wasn't about forensics. You know, it's not a
No,
CSI show. You know, those shows are fun too for their own little, you know, quick cut science. Hey, man, if you can make science fun and cool and exciting, you're awesome. That's,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
that's great. But there's nothing forensic about this show.
No,
you know,
no, not at
the evidence is pretty even ancillary with this because it's just a gut feeling. He knows who the murderer is. He sees it in their eyes, and then he just dogs them. He just dogs them until they're just too exhausted to go on anymore, and are finally like, "Fine, whatever. I'm
All right.
guilty."
Yes, I did it. Please stop bothering me. I did it.
Just one more thing. No more things, please.
In fact, there is no more things because we are out of time.
Yes, but what an awesome show.
was a
Watch
great
it.
show.
We know technically this isn't a PI for our January PI.
He's a detective.
But that's why we got it out of the way first. But we got a couple of great ones coming up, man. We got the two, in my opinion, the two greatest TV detectives, Mr. Magnum PI and Mr. Rockford.
Mr. James Rockford.
Mr. Jimmy Rockford.
I believe next week we're doing Rockford.
Yep. Next week is Jimmy.
Next week we're doing the old Jimmy Rockford.
Oh, man. And I can't wait to talk about how these guys are why I'm poor.
All right. I'm excited about that conversation.
Have a great week, everybody. Yeah, because Richard Falk, sorry.
Peter.
Yeah, because Peter Falk, Jose
Ferrer.
Faye Dunaway.
We now return you to your regularly scheduled programming, Silver Spoons, already in progress.